Welcome to Real Siblings, It Ain't Easy, a real estate podcast with the goal to educate, inform, and save their listeners time as they navigate the market and properties in their neighborhoods. Get ready to join real-life siblings and professional real estate advisors, Donna and Eric Seemann, as they discuss how it may be simple, but it ain't always easy.
Every time I think about the places I have known, I realize that times have changed. So I'll do what I can to make this house into a home. Yeah, yeah.
Hi everyone, welcome to Real Siblings, It Ain't Easy, where I, Eric Seemann, with Keller Williams Heritage in San Antonio, Texas, along with my sister,
I'm Donna, and I'm with Keller Williams Southern Arizona in Tucson, Arizona.
are here to share a bit about life in our small town and the houses we grew up in Northwest Ohio. Typically, that's our format, but we're doing something a little bit different today.
Yes, we are.
Today, since my sister has just finished a whirlwind 30-day tour of Europe, we're going to speak to her about what she saw, the properties, the houses, the buildings, the construction, things that happened there, and compare and contrast to what she normally sees and sells in Tucson, Arizona.
You're right, brother. That's a lot. Whew. Okay.
It is. All right. So I said 30 days.
Yep.
Tell me, can you remember? I know you're still sleep deprived. Do you remember when you left?
Yeah, I left July 26th.
And when did you get back?
I got back August 24th, which I believe that was 2 days ago. Yeah. And you're right. I'm still a little sleep deprived and it feels like it's late dinner time right now. So
what time is it now that we're recording, and what time did you get up?
Yeah. So it's 1:30 here. And honestly, I got up today like at 5:30. It wasn't too bad because I was up later last night, later being like 9 o'clock.
Oh, so then you must have taken a nap.
Not so far, but I still might need a nap. So I'm getting there.
So while you were gone, how many countries did you visit?
I visited 4 countries. I visited Scotland first and then flew to Spain. And then from Spain, took a bus and a train to France. And then had a diversion, detour, change of plans. And I went to Belgium for a few days and then back to France.
Yeah, we'll get into that.
Yeah, 4 countries.
Do you have any idea how many different hotels, hostels, cabins, paid accommodations, or friends that houses you flopped in that you stayed at?
You know, I answered this question. I sent it to you. So Scotland was 2, Spain was a hotel, France was a cruise in a hotel, and then another hotel in Paris, and then a house in Belgium, and then back to Paris. So how many is that? 7, 8? And then there were a couple of day visits in there, but we're not overnight places.
Okay, well, that's interesting. So you said you went to Scotland. Is that where you went to first?
Yes. I flew San Francisco, Dulles, Edinburgh, which I guess they say like Edinburgh, like butter, Edinburgh, and then took a bus to Glasgow, which was my first place that I was going to. So.
Okay. What was your longest stay in one place during those 30 days?
You know, I think the cruise, which was 7 days. However, I wound up in Paris for 2 and then back again for 4 in the same hotel. But I detoured out of there and went to Belgium in the middle. So
detoured out of there. Okay, yeah. Go ahead. You've said it a couple of times. What happened?
So you know this. I was on a river cruise in France, and about 10 or 11 of us of the 120 or so on the boat got COVID, and that changed my plans. Thus, put me in a hotel that I wasn't planning on and some things like that. So change and flexibility. Yes.
So, and I recall there were some pictures. How many pictures do you think you took? I think on one post I saw 63 pictures.
I was looking because I started a file. I think I have like 600 pictures. I'm going to go through them and get rid of, you know how people say, oh, you take a picture and you get 5 of the same picture, and you don't need 5 of the same picture. So I need to go through and delete for sure, but a lot of them.
All right. With the 5 countries and where you went, do you have any idea how much distance in either like miles or kilometers that you traveled?
You know, I was going to look that up and I really don't. I have no idea. I'm sure I could mathematically figure it out, but my brain is not doing math yet. So So I'm not going to do that.
I just don't care.
No, I never.
Now, you said planes, trains, buses, boats, cars. What's the difference between trains and metro?
The metro is the local system. So the metro in Paris is just taking you from one place to another. But you can go from the metro to the train station. And then the trains are going to take you between countries and things like that.
Okay, so here's your first chance to kind of contrast. With all of those things that you did, aside from the plane to get there, how many of those modes of transportation would you use in Southern Arizona?
The car. That'd be it. Yeah. I don't take the bus. The bus system here is, first of all, it barely comes to where I live on the Northwest side. And, but buses are common in Europe, as are trains, as are metros. So.
Okay. Have you ever been on a bus in Tucson, like a city bus?
No, never. Nope.
Not once. How long have you lived there?
22 years. 22. Wow. Yeah.
You're just not very green, are you?
No. Grant has been on buses. I have picked him up and I have taken people to the FlixBus to go to like Vegas or LA.
Okay. Has Grant, and Grant is your oldest son.
Yeah.
Has Grant ever told you about what the inside of the buses look like? And specifically, did he ever say anything about a seat reserved for Rosa Parks?
Oh. No, he hasn't said that. And mostly buses are people who are tired and barely awake when they're on the bus, and they typically don't have a driver's license. And that's why they're taking the bus.
The reason I bring that up is here in San Antonio, our bus public transportation system, and we do not have a subway or a metro or the high-speed rail or any of those kind of things. We have buses.
Yeah.
And those buses, every single one of the buses has a seat set aside that says reserved for Rosa Parks.
Wow.
That marks the location
where she sat
as close as possible to the seat that she refused to get up on during the civil rights.
That's very cool, Eric. I didn't know that.
And I found that out because here in our multiple listing service, we need to specify if a house is close to the bus. To get a better feel for that in the area that I work in most frequently, I jumped on the bus one day and took all the connections and did nothing but ride the bus for about 6 hours through multiple connections to see how it went through neighborhood and along those lines. And that's when every bus that I got on, and I think I changed buses 4 times, every single one of them had the Rosa Parks.
Oh, that's very cool. Eric, what I should say as we're sitting here talking, we do have a streetcar down by the university. So a number of years ago, a system went in that would allow the growth of the university and for students, especially international students, to have a place to live where they could live not right on campus. They could be a little bit further away and still get across town. And that has also reduced congestion after like football games and things like that, because people can park further away, jump on that, get over to the stadium or whatever.
So here in San Antonio, they refer to that as a parking ride, and there's different parking lots that you can go to move in towards the center of the city. So if it's here in San Antonio, the University of Texas, San Antonio Roadrunners play at the dome that was built for professional sports, the Alamo Dome.
Right.
And there are buses and bus connections that you can get from outside the city to move into downtown so that you don't have to pay $25 to park your car close to the dome. And
it's been great. It's been great for downtown, and it also gets people home that shouldn't be driving. So,
okay. In any of the older areas of the city, there's like an old Tucson area, right?
Right. Well, Old Tucson is the name of the park where they filmed movies and stuff like that.
Okay, that's the movie. But is there an area in towards downtown?
Yeah, that's, the city grew around downtown. So the barrio and the south and stuff like that, where, you go from Spanish to English, a meat store is going to be a carniceria instead of, a meat market. So yeah, that's downtown.
Okay. And do they run in that area, like down in downtown San Antonio, they have what looks like old trolleys, kind of a historic looking, but they're diesel powered or propane powered buses in and around through downtown in the historic area.
There is. And we actually have a lender who his book has just been, I think it's called Life Along the Streetcar, but it's more of a trolley. And it's really great for realtors to do that, to learn what's happening and what the city is doing from a development perspective downtown. So it's a little bit more touristy and learning as compared to getting people to work and things like that. But it's a great way to learn about what's happening down there.
Okay. That's kind of trains and buses and that. But what about boats? Now, I know you said you were going on a cruise, and let's talk about the waterways such as they are in Tucson and Southern Arizona.
I'm sorry.
Well, okay, that's a funny question, but you guys have had monsoons for the past.
We have, when I first moved here, Eric, one of my friends said that her office faced the river. And I was like, okay. So it's on the side that would face the river if there was water in the river. So, we call them washes. It's not very often that there's water in them. However, our monsoon season has been phenomenal while I was out of town this month. And literally, I almost wrecked the car looking at the mountains the other day because they're so green. It looks like what I just saw in Scotland. That's the first time in like 22 years that it's looked like that, and where the water has run torrentially because, of course, our hard soil, it doesn't soak in. So it comes from down the mountains, and, the rivers merge together and stuff. So yeah, it's been crazy the amount of water we've had, and it's so green for Tucson, especially.
When you get the dry runoffs that you have there, are there any adventure sports people who are crazy enough to have some sort of surfboard or wakeboard and try to?
No. And we have a stupid driver thing. The power of the washes and the power of the water combined with sand and tree branches and everything else, it's a don't go near it kind of thing. And you get people up there taking their pictures. We all take pictures of rain in Arizona. Just when it rains, just hold on. Oh, look, a storm. We're actually told to stay away from the edges, of the washes and stuff because it's dangerous. And I might have told you this at one time or another, but in 1983 was the last time we had like a 100-year storm. We learned in real estate class about a house that fell into the river, and it happened over a weekend. And the owner had taken his insurance off on a Friday, and on Monday the house didn't exist, and he lost everything. And it's our keep your insurance piece of life, because that 100-year flood could be today.
I think you started to say Rio.
Rito.
Rito
is the name of it. Yeah,
okay,
Rito.
So not Rio, but
no, Rillito. Rito.
Okay. All right. Well, okay, so no boats, that's not happening there. Planes,
No.
yes. You sent and posted some pretty amazing pictures, and one of the questions, and we've kind of talked old, and I think in a previous episode too, when we were talking foundation, you asked how old is old in San Antonio?
Right.
And I related it to being 1836, Battle of the Alamo, back into the 1700s when the missions, maybe even late 1600s when the missions started. What is the oldest structure you feel like you saw while you were traveling?
So outside of Lyon, France, I took a train and I visited a family that I had met in January of 2020. And they live in a town of about 6,000 people, about 30 minutes by train. And it's an old farmhouse. So it's about 340 years old. Back then, Aaron, I don't know if you looked at all my pictures or not, but my, 600 pictures I posted.
Yeah, I'll just tell you.
The barns were attached to the houses and the animals were down underneath. So you would come in from the street and the animals would be down below, and basements, they would call them a cave. People would go down and outside. So as you're driving along these old structures, there's these doors that are right at the door level that aren't very tall. And that's where the animals went in and out. And that particular owner, Perique, along with my friends, Carrie and Damien, with their home in Brussels, which I learned when I was there is 3 times the size of every other house on the block because they converted the barn and the house into a house. They all look like, to me, Harry Potter stairways. There's stairs everywhere. And I know this is more than you just asked me about the age of the house. But if you think about how people, especially in Arizona, they don't want to have steps at all. And we're all afraid we're going to trip over an edge that's a 2-inch edge, so we mark it with yellow tape and stuff because we're used to flat. Well, this is like up 5 steps, over 1, down 2, over here, up 3. And then the bed's like another 7 or 8 steps up steep in a lofty area. It's fascinating. And I had this conversation. I actually flew from San Francisco back to Tucson next to a Frenchman. I don't know if I've told you that. It was amazing. And so we were talking about it and what is considered quaint or cute or fun or unique when you're there. But here, that's not what anybody wants to buy. They don't want to have that. They don't have to deal with all that stuff. So it's kind of interesting, the mindset.
Right. Okay. So that's the oldest place you stayed about 340 years ago?
Yeah. Well, I stayed there just last month, but the house is 340 years ago.
Okay. So Okay, good point. Thank you for clarifying. I appreciate
You're welcome.
that. Okay, but you also said that was the oldest place you stayed in, but what is the oldest place you saw?
Oh man, so many of the small towns in southern France and the rivers and things are, or the rivers, they were built with Roman times, 2,000, 3,000 years ago, and they were up on hills and they all had a wall around them because everybody was fighting each other. And so a church might have started, and I learned this about the size of the blocks. And for those of you that are watching video, I'm talking with my hands, and so we knew that if they were 20 to 24 inches long and 12 to 15 inches tall, that was Roman times. And then they got a little smaller, and that was only 800 years ago. And then a little bit after that, they might be a little smaller, and that was 600 or 700 years ago. And that was the new part. After a while, you just can't even wrap your brain around anymore how old it is and how long it's been there, and how, you and I talked in that one episode about how people use what's available. So here it was adobe, right? It was Native Americans and adobe and straw and mud and all that. And over there, tons of limestone, tons and tons and tons of hard rock that's been there for a couple thousand years,
Yeah, well, and you contrast that. I mean, you see that, and then you see the excavations and the work they do down in Egypt.
Right.
I have two nieces who are currently over in Cairo. One of them works there. The other younger sister is over visiting right now. The pyramid.
Yeah.
It's like rock stands up and rock holds. You talked about the episode where you're investors. You haven't only invest in rock, in brick, in
right.
Because what? Wood fails and wood falls apart a whole lot faster.
Yep. And then I think one of the questions you then messaged me was like, what was the newest one I was in?
Yes. That was the next question I was going to ask you.
Yeah. And that was, believe it or not, about a 25-year-old house in another little town about 30 minutes outside of Brussels, a newer subdivision. And just like any subdivision in the States, you could tell when you drove in. You could tell the roof styles were similar. The tile was newer. The stucco was similar. I'm laughing at the light. Okay. So, I have a skylight up above me, and I can tell that the clouds are coming and going because unlike you, I'm just in my living room and I don't have a fancy light on me. So the clouds are coming and going. Anyway, tangent there. So I was in a home that's 25 years old. And Eric, I didn't do a video there, but what was fascinating to me is it looked like what's popular right now. She did have just 13-inch tile, but she had tile floors, not the old tile or concrete or what you see in some of the old ones. And her colors, she had modern furniture that would have been like Scandinavian modern, and only one color really as her decorative color. So she had beiges and whites and stuff, and orange. And orange is that hat you have next to you red or orange? It's red. Okay.
It's Keller Williams. Come on.
Keller Williams. Oh yeah, it should be. But her accent color through everything, through the drapes, through the pillows, through the carpets, through everything was orange. And it could have been a model home just like we would walk into right now, except for the European influences.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Couple more questions.
Yep.
One of the things I noticed in your picture was that it seems that in some of the European households, it is common to have the washing machine in or near the kitchen to reduce the amount of required plumbing is what I'm figuring. Did you see that at more than one place?
Yep. A lot of them. Especially the old farmhouses. So first of all, they don't even try to put the plumbing in the wall. It's just on the outside of the wall. And then they paint it the same color as the wall, especially again at the house, at Kiereen's house in Brussels. It's not even in their kitchen. You walk out into, I guess we would have called it a summer kitchen kind of, because it's half inside, half outside.
Okay.
They have the dishwasher there. Right next to it, they have the washing machine and the refrigerator. None of those are in the kitchen. And many, many, many washing machines, not dryers. It's not a thing. That whole dryer thing is
that's an American thing, right? So it's a washing machine, no dryer, and they still are using lines or some sort of hangers.
Oh yeah. And in Scotland, the friend that I stayed with, she was going to wear something and she had washed the sheets before I got there. There was nowhere to dry them because it was pouring. So they were just wadded up in a bin, because you got to wait for the sunshine and the weather.
Got to wait for the sun and got to wait for that. Okay. Yeah. And then I'm sure you had one or two things that may not be part of your normal diet.
By the way, I weighed, and after 30 days, I was up 6 pounds, but I'm already back down 2.
Oh, that's pretty darn good. Because I know you took some of your special food, and you want to say what that is? Go ahead, throw it in.
Yeah. So I've been on a program called Optavia, and I did take some, and I had some, but I ate more bread in a month than I've eaten in a year and a half. And dinner at we're gonna have an apéro or an aperitif at like 8, and then go to dinner, then get back from dinner at 10:30 or 11 at night, and then go to bed on this really full stomach. But I took advantage of most of it. I did not typically eat 3 times a day, but yeah, a lot of bread, more wine, and then mixes of, I'm just going to say alcohol. I don't know what they were, like that you had before dinner or at lunch. But wait, my favorite thing, I have to tell you what I had. So
was the haggis in Scotland?
No, I didn't even try that. Some other people did, but I didn't. But the same house that was a 340-year-old farmhouse, he has a pizza oven outside. And it's kind of, I would relate it to a sauce thin crust that they make. They made dessert pizzas. So after the appetizer, which was a pizza, and after the entree and everything, then they took the crust and they spread like a homemade orange marmalade on it, put 4 pieces of chocolate, put it in that little pizza oven and baked it and pulled it out and smeared the chocolate over the marmalade. Man, that was good. It made me want to get a
homemade marmalade too, then I'm sure.
Oh yeah. And it made me want to get a pizza oven. So like, I won't want to have to get the wood and burn it and do all the work, but I loved what came out of that pizza.
Okay, we're going to see how close your computer is listening to you, because you just said pizza oven. I want to know next episode if you start seeing things on your social media about these portable pizza ovens.
Oh, like, is it
your
listening?
Phones are listening.
Okay, I turned off my Google Mini so that like it didn't interrupt me like the last time when it tried to answer and said, I don't understand your question. Yeah, but yeah, the food is wonderful. I got a little tired of sauces because there's a lot of sauces in France, but great soups that I love. And then the macaroons that I made.
All right.
Macaron.
Well, that is a very, very brief capsulation of 30 days. You're going to have to get to my sister's Facebook page to see just some of the pictures. And we do plan on getting some of those posted. Yeah. But we are at a point where we need to bring this to a close. Since we're reversing roles today, I'm going to toss it to my sister to close our episode for the day.
Eric asked me if I was all prepared to close this, and I'm like, I'm going to wing it. Thank you for joining us. Our goal is to talk to you a little bit about real estate where we live, where I am in Arizona, where Eric is in Texas, and to compare and contrast to the homes that we grew up in and what we see where we live, and in this episode, around the world. So I am Donna Reed in Southern Arizona, and you are?
Eric, and I am in San Antonio, Texas.
And we are Real Siblings.
Real Siblings.
Thanks for joining us.
Bye, y'all.
Bye.
Every time I think about the places I have known, I realize that times have changed. So I'll do what I can to make this house into a home. Yeah. Oh.
Thank you for taking your valuable time to listen to Real Siblings. It ain't easy. We hope you found this episode informative and enjoyable. There are several ways you can support us, and we ask that you please take the time to like, subscribe, and follow. Additionally, leave us a 5-star rating along with a review on your preferred podcast platform. The final thing we would ask is that you recommend this podcast to a friend, a family member, or an associate. Your engagement is critical to our ongoing success, and we look forward to connecting with you. Check out the show notes for all of our contact information, including emails, phone numbers, and websites. The Real Siblings look forward to hearing from you.